The next match in my WrestleMania review is the main event of WrestleMania 1. In our match-by-match chronology, we finish up the first ever biggest event of the year. The main event from Madison Square Garden features the culmination of one of the biggest storylines in the Rock and Wrestling Connection. Mr. T from the A-Team has been coaxed into the ring and will team with World Wrestling Federation champion Hulk Hogan to face Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Superfly Jimmy Snuka and Cowboy Bob Orton join the two teams as the cornermen, plus a slew of celebrity guests bring this event to a climax. Join in the comments and tell us what your thoughts and or memories of this first ever main event of WrestleMania 1 is. Here are mine. This week, the format all the rest of the WrestleManias has been following is completely thrown out. No Lord Alfred Hayes segment, no backstage interviews. Instead, we get the celebrities. First off, we get Billy Martin. Longtime on-again, off-again manager of the New York Yankees comes out to be the special guest ring announcer. He takes over for Howard Finkel, who stays nearby to help out Martin. Out next comes Liberace, with 4 of the Radio City Rockettes to be the special guest timekeeper. Liberace does the dance with the Rockettes and even does the famous leg kicks. Well, halfway anyway. Monsoon says those girls have nothing on Liberace. Well, no, and nor would they get anything from him. Then the special guest outside enforcer Muhammad Ali comes out to assist referee Pat Patterson in trying to keep order. Trivia question for all of you. Who was the first WWE superstar in WrestleMania history to have a live band perform him to the ring? No, at WrestleMania history. No, it's not DX. It was Roddy Piper. Paul Orndorff and Cowboy Bob Orton come out to a live performance by a bagpipe troupe. After the heel team are in the ring being pelted with garbage, Eye of the Tiger Blast. Well, if you have the VHS, it does. Otherwise, Real American plays on Peacock. WWF champion Hulk Hogan, Mr. T, and cornerman Superfly Jimmy Snuka make their way to the ring. Chaos ensues as all these personalities fill up the ring, and Orndorff steals the broom from a guy cleaning up the trash. Mr. Wonderful smashes it Bo Jackson style over his knee. Once the match starts, Liberace, instead of ringing the traditional ring bell, he rings a Christmas ornament. The match itself fills out many tag team tropes. Plus, with non-wrestlers Mr. T and Muhammad Ali involved, there is more chaos than normal. However, the finish is perfectly choreographed. Orton's cast accidentally knocks Orndorff out, and Hogan pins him. After the match, Piper knocks Patterson out, and he and Orton leave Orndorff in the ring. This is the turn of the night. Orndorff, though doesn't officially become a face after this, begins his character change. After the match, the winning team go backstage and are interviewed by Mean Gene. Mr. T says how tough it is out there. Hogan and Snuka congratulate each other, and the show is closed by Ventura and Monsoon. Then we get a still picture slideshow set to a 1980s hit song. This match won Match of the Year in Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I have a feeling it has more to do with what it did for pro wrestling than the actual match itself. I give it 2.5 stars out of 5. Now for the stats. Hulk Hogan was 31 years old at the time of the match, and he is still alive. Mr. T was 32, and he is also still alive, and I believe his mother was in the ending interview shot. Jimmy Snuka was 41. He would live for 32 more years, and by this point had already been involved in the death of his girlfriend. But that's a story for another time. Paul Orndorff was 35 and would live for 36 more years. He once was on the preseason roster of the New Orleans Saints. Roddy Piper was the youngest man in the match, just 30 years old. He also, of the 6 men involved, was the first to pass away 30 years later. Bob Orton was 34 and but his legacy is best remembered in his then son Randy Orton, who turned 5 the following day. Now for the celebrities. Pat Patterson, although a wrestler not a celebrity, was the first ever special guest referee in WrestleMania, but this was never announced. He was 44 and would live for 35 more years. Liberace was 65 years old and would live for just 2 more years. Billy Martin was 56 years old and would die on Christmas Day 4 years later in 1989. Muhammad Ali was 43 and would live for 31 more years. That ends WrestleMania 1. Starting next, we'll be covering WrestleMania 2, What the World Has Come To. What are your thoughts on the match? And let's see where I place Hogan and T versus Orton and Orndorff in the all-time match ranking. Alright, obviously I wasn't thinking much when I ranked this match, giving it a 2.5 stars, but we'll stay with it, as that is the ranking I gave. If I can get my cursor to work. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. They become the 4th best match in WrestleMania history to date, getting a 2.5 out of 5. That's probably going to... Nope. Yeah, that didn't. And that is your main event. So let us know what you think in the comments.